So hey guys, so I figured I'd just show you guys some games running on this Pentium 3. This is Quake 3 Arena. I'm probably going to zoom the camera in. But I figured I'd just make a video about, just showing you guys the kind of games that you can play on this thing. But first I think I'm just going to run a demo. And then just talk a bit about what I've been doing really with this Pentium 3. And so it's loading up Quake 3. Quake 3 was almost the crisis of its day. Quake 3 was extremely demanding, and the graphics for the time were quite amazing. I get a pretty decent frame rate in the game. The ball mouse that I use is kind of stuck. And there are actually still some multiplayer matches if you get it on peak hours. You can still find plenty of multiplayer matches. I'm going to be showing you guys some gameplay of that a bit later. But yeah, this is it. Running on legit hardware. It's not Quake Live or anything like that. Quake Live is basically Quake 3, but free to play. I do enjoy Quake Live a lot, but yeah, it's got some decent enough graphics for the time, but I think I'm just going to exit out of there, and then I'll show you guys some multiplayer. Okay guys, so this is the server list. I'm going to refresh the server list to see which ones are active. Here's a game with 6 people in it. Fun Fraggers Paradise. Let's click Fight. And this is other people that are still playing Quake 3. Up until around 2012 you could still play Quake 1 and Quake 2. Nowadays Quake 1, I haven't checked yet, but I don't even have Quake 1. Quake 3 I actually bought on Steam, and I do still occasionally install it and play it. It really doesn't take all that much time to install it onto my main computer's hard drive. So, awaiting connection. It may not connect. There's 178 ping, so alright, didn't connect. Let's go back to multiplayer. Let's find one with a bit lower ping. Kill or be killed. Let's fight on that one, and let's... This is the lowest ping is 80, so yeah. It's probably hosted somewhere in Oregon or similar. Nope, not gonna work. Oh, that's great. That's just great. Refresh. So... Fight. Alright. I have a good feeling about this server. I need to mute this ringer. Phone is about to ring. Alright, so it's loading. It actually loaded up, and this is a legit server with other people who are playing around the world. And this is a railgun server apparently, and the frame rate's skipping a bit, but I think that may just because of the ping. Somebody left a message. This is frame rate. And of course, Facebook has to go off. But not... And I got fragged because not only does my frame rate kind of suck, because this game was more or less designed to be run on higher end Celerons, because there was a time to where Celerons were higher end than Pentiums. Nowadays they're just cheap garbage, but if you bought a Celeron when they first came out, they were like 700 megahertz, while the Pentium 3s, on the other hand, were still around 650. So this one's a 697 megahertz one. They captured our flag apparently. But no, this is Quake 3. I think the next game I'm going to show you guys is probably going to be Battlefield 1942. But all I got is a railgun right now. I actually may just shut the camera off and keep playing this, because I used to be really into Quake. Now I only really play Quake Live whenever Logan or anybody from Tech Syndicate plays. But yeah, it's Quake. There's really not all that much to really say about it, especially on these large maps when there's only 3 people on the server. It's kind of hard to find people, and when you do, oh, here's one. Alright. And it's in this little demo that they have at the beginning of Battlefield 1942 that you really see the limits of PCI, because the frame rate's actually kind of skipping. But again, when this game came out, this was about as demanding as Battlefield 4, and I run it at 800 by 600. And it looks decent. It runs about as good as it does on the G5. The G5, this was last summer, I played the crap out of this game on the G5 last summer. And I really did. I gotta turn the speaker up a bit. But I really did enjoy it, so unfortunately, if anybody out there has any idea, I was unable to get multiplayer to work because it just says can't connect. I know that I'm running the original CD version of 1942, but anyway, we're just going to go into instant battle. We're not going to set it to impossible, we're going to set that to hard, yet. And here's another thing that's kind of weird about this, is whenever I spawn, it literally it takes forever to load. That's mainly due to the hard drive. It might even be worse with a CF card. I've been looking on eBay. It would take, for me to get an ID SSD, it really wouldn't take all that much money, but I just can't justify the amount to get an ID SSD when I don't even have an SSD in my main rig. But if I did have an SSD, that bar would just be going, because the G5 had an SSD last summer. No longer does. Now it's just got dual 500 gig hard drives. But it would load just fast. And this was pre-Battlefield 4. This was when Battlefield 3 was still everything and the be-all and end-all. I still think Battlefield 3 had a great campaign. Way better than Battlefield 4's. But you could still find a lot of games. Like, there was this one server that's no longer up. Either that or I got IP banned, but that's whole nother story. I hate it when people call. I just silence the ringer, because I'm not gonna talk to people when I'm shooting a video. Like, sure, yeah, you could totally be dying, but I just don't care. But again, yeah, so I can't find the way to where you can adjust the time it takes to spawn, so every time I spawn, I have to wait like 20 seconds to a minute, which is kind of bogus, but anyway, we'll just spawn hopefully on the carrier. And this is the game. It runs absolutely fine. This mouse combined with the it's a rather terrible mouse pad, the Apple mouse pad. But the game is pretty smooth. This mouse pad I have isn't exactly the greatest of all, and there's not that much lag whenever I'm switching weapons. And this is all running on that Pentium 3 CPU. Being driven. I'm on the lookout. I've gotten some money, and I am on the lookout for a better Pentium 3. I want to get a Pentium 3 that I can throw a massive AGP card into, like a 70 something from NVIDIA, a card from like 2007 that I can put like 512 megs of RAM into the thing. I want to get a really high-end Pentium 3, because there are certain games to where this thing absolutely struggles with. This game, it'll run fine. It runs at both 640 by 480. Right now I'm running it at 800 by 600, and yeah, it lags. Whenever you throw a grenade or explosion happens, that's some lag. I would turn it down, but let's go into the options, video. Let's go on to 640 by 480. And we'll see how well. This is with mostly everything on low, but view distance turned up. So options have now been saved. And as you can see, it's running fairly decently now. I can probably throw a grenade, and it won't lag. Didn't lag, really. Yeah, that's the only reason. This card in here's got plenty of power. The only reason that this thing really lags with a game like this has to do with that PCI slot. It's a great card and it's a great chip, but it's really limited by the amount of bandwidth. You know, it can't pump gigs of bandwidth, or in this case a massive amount of megabytes of bandwidth that it takes to load up textures and everything. I used to be really baller at flying these planes. This is kind of bringing it back. I may actually play some multiplayer on the quad core later, but yeah, everything seems to work fine. I wish they would make another World War II battlefield already. I forget how you drop bombs. I think you just right click and drop the bombs. Yeah, this game, I wouldn't typically run it on anything less than this. This is the minimum I would run it on. It says you could run it on a 500 megahertz like AMD chip. I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. As you can see, the frame rate kind of drops when I'm doing this. I forgot it was 9, because I swear, last summer when I played this all the time, I just was mashing control. And because I had it set to where I could pretty much control the entire thing, because the G5 had the 1-button mouse instead of 2 buttons, so I just ended up having a completely opposite control scheme, and that's kind of what I'm used to. Next game. Now I kind of feel like showing you guys how I get most of my games for this computer, especially when I'm broke, kind of like right now. Basically I have Opera, and basically what I do is I like to go to classicdosgames.com. I already got it loaded up, but there are tons of really nice games on here, and they're all free trials or abandonware. The game that I actually am trying to get right now, I am going to be downloading the Need for Speed demo, and I'm going to be showing you guys this. And you can click download. It'll open up in the Opera browser as under transfers, and it downloads in about 30 seconds. And this thing browses the web pretty well, actually. It doesn't handle Flash very well, but it has the latest Flash. It just doesn't handle it all that well. But yeah. And here is the demo that we just downloaded over the interwebs. This was when EA actually made some pretty good games. Like, they still have the potential to make good games, but I can really feel the rush of the engine. Let me just see if I can turn up the speaker a bit. This would be great if I had a wheel. Like, even the demo is really fun because they give you like 5 laps. This is a really good game, Need for Speed. If I ever find it out in the wild, I'll definitely pick it up. Because just from playing the demo, this is quite a great racing game that I think even stacks up against the racing games of today. Like, when the Steam sale comes on, I'm definitely going to be picking up Dirt, either that or Dirt 3. Some kind of dirt game. I've been wanting to get into racing games, and I've got that analog controller that I've just kind of got laying around waiting for emulators and such, when in reality I could really be taking advantage of that and be playing some racing games. But this thing runs full frame rate. I believe it gets somewhere around 200 FPS, which on a 60 Hz monitor is quite fine. It uses the full potential of the monitor, and it's just generally a pretty good game. I wonder what's the max speed I can get this car up to. 130, 131, 135, 140. 140 it's looking like. I could probably get it up to 150, but yeah. And the full game actually includes multiple cars, multiple tracks. I mean, it just sounds like a boatload of fun. And if if you ever find this game at a Goodwill or anywhere, you should really be sure to pick it up because it's a great game and it really started a pretty good series. Yeah, they give you like 5 laps or so. I don't know exactly how it works. But yeah, this computer, you know, a lot of people, they talk about hardware, they upgrade the hardware in these old computers, but you never really see somebody just sitting down there, just, you know, just chilling and just sort of playing a game. Pentium 2 Adventures Part 3 will be continuing when I can get a decent sound card for that thing, so probably around a month or 2 from now. I'm gonna have to go on eBay and look for a good sound blaster. That is some 3D graphics right there. So it appears as though I didn't wreck it, but let's get back into the race. See, when you get going, it goes first person, and I think this would be really cool if I had like a wheel. I don't want to just get a USB wheel, and when your time is up, it just sort of. I actually read through this all, and it actually looks like a pretty good value for the money. Like for $3 is usually how much Goodwill would charge. So anyway, on to the next game. Now I'm installing Doom, and I am figuring it for keyboard only. And I forget what kind of sound card. I'm just going to select Sound Blaster. We could just launch Doom. I want to see if it works with the Sound Blaster selected. Yeah, it works. Oh my god. Silence phone. But anyway, options. I don't like the screen size being that big. I guess that would have been cool had it have been the 90s and everybody was all excited about, you know, oh my god, it's the future, virtual reality. We're going to set it to hurt me plenty. And, you know, I actually have beat the freeware version of Doom before, and I think it'd be great if I could get the full version of Doom. Probably just going to buy it on Steam and then torrent it. But yeah, it's Doom. There's really not all that much you can say. It's control to shoot these baddies. First time I actually played Doom, it was on Congregate, and I remember I sucked at it, but I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't my first-person shooter. I believe that my first shooter, it was probably a Medal of Honor game. I think I even remember it was like, is there even a game called Medal of Honor Pacific Assault? So yeah, really not much to say. It's Doom. It runs absolutely fine. On to the next game. Anyway, here is Quake 2, which is a game that I've personally been playing through. It was one of the first shooters that actually made some pretty good use of a mouse. Other ones I've played, like Skynet. I've kind of got my save state is kind of in a rock and a hard place, surrounded by baddies. Really not a whole lot you can do about that, but I think I got this. I can totally clear out these guys. Need to go for the health. Yeah, it's an intense shooter, really. It's gotta be my favorite gun in the game besides the rocket launcher, because this thing annihilates people. Look at that. You know, even in id has never been afraid to just show people just turning into goop. Like, I've played through I forget, I want to say Rust, but I know it's not Rust. But no, I've died, but It was the newest id game, and it said from the makers of Quake and Doom. I forget what was that. It really didn't stick with me, but I'm sure somebody's gonna leave it down in the comments what I was thinking of. It's got like the dune buggies and all that stuff. It's probably pretty obvious, but yeah, I kind of suck at Quake. But yeah, on to the next game. Here's a game that runs absolutely fine on here with no real problems, and it's Flight Simulator 98. Unfortunately, I cannot fly for anything without a flight stick, but we are just going to select a flight. There was a time to where there was actually multiplayer. Okay, so we're going to go into options. Actually, I think I'll just fly this plane. Throttle up. Alright, need to hit period to release the parking brake. That will then get us at least in the air somewhat. I used to be able to fly really great with the keyboard on Flight Simulator, and apparently we're stalling. Yeah, it's really easy to crash in this game. It's a simulator, what can I really say? So now we are up in the sky, and we are stalling, because apparently I am the worst pilot ever. And if I had a flight stick, this would be much easier, but I'm pretty sure that this flight is going to end in disaster. Hey, you can fly a lot of planes. There's a lot of mods for this game. I always seem to find it hard to stay up without a flight stick. Always seems as though I end up stalling and stuff. So I'm pretty sure that you can also fly an F-16. It's better than Google's Flight Simulator. Google's Flight Simulator can be entertaining at times, but I find this one to be a bit better. Yeah, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go into Google Earth and you look for the Flight Simulator, there's a Flight Simulator app built into Google Earth, and I thought it was pretty cool when I first discovered it, and I played it a lot actually on my PowerBook. This was when Google Earth really supported PowerPC. Not anymore. So I'm actually flying pretty good. This has got to be the best flight I've done. Hopefully I didn't speak too soon, but oh god, we're gonna die, aren't we? Well then, that didn't end too well. I think this is pretty much all the games I really got to show you. I would show you guys the James Bond game Nightfire, but unfortunately it barely runs on this. It'll run fine on my Pentium 4 with AGP slot, but the PCI graphics are really what limits this computer to its full potential. That chip, I may actually end up picking up a new motherboard, one that supports an AGP slot, but that chip is so limited by this. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next video, and until then, kick it.